Set a goal so big you can't achieve it until you grow into the person who can. I haven't always been a runner. I didn't run in high school. I actually used to hate running. But there was a women's running club that started after the birth of my second daughter, and I thought that would be a great way to get in shape. After running a few half marathons, I decided to challenge myself and conquer the 26.2 miles of the marathon. My very first marathon was in 2014, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I remember running next to a close friend, and I was telling her how much I cared about her and how much I loved her because I literally wasn't sure I would make it out of the race alive. I finished in 4 hours and 30 minutes, nearly an hour over what was needed to qualify for Boston. I decided shortly after running my second marathon here in SLO in just under 4 hours that I wanted to qualify and run the Boston Marathon. It seemed almost impossible at the time. People questioned my priorities, my ability. I even questioned whether or not it was possible or feasible with my roles as a wife, mom of 3, full-time career woman. There were, however, the core group of family and friends who believed in me and told me that they knew I could achieve it. They were the voices that I chose to listen to, and what I discovered on my journey to this dream becoming a reality was that my commitment, passion, and drive for attaining this goal bled into all the other areas of my life in such a positive way. To quote Helen Keller, "Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved." Thousands of miles, hundreds of workouts, and 3 failed attempts later, and I have to mention one of those failed attempts was only by 9 seconds, I had done it. On May 29th, 2017, I ran a 3-hour, 36-minute marathon. It would be enough to get me into Boston. It was time to train and prepare for what I now consider one of the greatest experiences of my life. How did I balance all that was in my busy life and still manage to run 50 miles a week? What motivated me to get up as early as 5 a.m. to be sure I got all my miles in before my crazy day started? I have to admit I am disciplined by nature, but I can assure you that there were many days that I did not want to get up. And I didn't want to run in the pitch black dark with a headlamp. There were days I wanted to sleep in, and there were some runs, 20-mile runs, that I wanted to cut short. So what kept me going in those moments were the people that not only believed in me, but the people who ran most of those miles with me. I have had the amazing privilege to be able to train with other people for almost all of my marathons. And for my Boston, I had my running partner, Sonia, who ran probably 95% of my miles with me, my retired Ironman coach here. There is an extraordinary bond that is created by people who run together. You not only share your running goals, but your life goals. Running partners see you at your best and your worst. It is a beautiful thing to share the road and the sunrise with friends. Many of the deepest and most genuine friendships I have were formed over long runs. Having the time to clear my mind, sweat out the worries of the day, and share trials and triumphs without any distractions is a priceless gift. So my husband, Eric, and 3 children, Noah, Kate, and Gwen, were able to join me in Boston, and I couldn't imagine being there without them. Eric, who might as well call himself the amateur John Lindsay, started giving me race weather updates the week before the race. The last update the day before the marathon was that it was going to be very cold and very wet. The night before the race, I scrambled to put together my race outfit. My typical California shorts and tank top were not in the cards, with reports of 34-degree temps and a wind chill factor of 28 degrees, rain, sleet, snow, and 30 to 45 mile-an-hour headwinds. The dropout rate of this year's race was 50% higher than in 2017. Within minutes of starting the race, I was soaked. The first 10 miles of the race, I had my earphones in and I was listening to music. I was on my target pace until about the halfway point. My muscles just never seemed to warm up and settle in, and my quads felt like frozen pieces of meat. I was faced with a decision. It was never whether or not I would quit. That was never, ever on the table. The decision I had to make was whether I was going to keep fighting the conditions with my head down and my music in, or rather lift up my face, slow down a little, and enjoy the thousands of people who lined the streets of Boston, even in the freezing rain. A quote by Victoria Erickson really describes how I felt. To be present might be exactly what we've needed all along. To feel a place while we're in it. To be fully with people while sharing time. To know this moment only may actually be the closest thing to ecstatic living we'll experience. So wherever you are, be there, in your body, one foot in front of the next. I chose to be in the moment. I turned off my music, I started interacting with spectators, I gave high five to a German shepherd. I danced to the music, I smiled, and I waved. I smiled in thankfulness for the journey. I smiled at the realization that this was it. This was my dream being realized. The people that lined the streets clapped and cheered like I was an Olympic marathoner. They yelled that I was a champion, that I was Boston strong. Those last 13 miles or so went by so fast, too fast. This was the first marathon experience I have ever had where I didn't hit a wall at mile 20 or count down the miles and seconds until it was over. I simply enjoyed it. And when I turned left onto Boylston Street and saw the finish line, I heard my family yelling my name. I started to cry, and I continued to smile and wave at my family braving the rain and cold to see me cross the finish line. Set a goal so big you can't achieve it until you grow into the person who can. The person I've grown into now knows that I am far more capable of anything I can imagine. Thanks for letting me share.